Thank you note. Thank you notes are called for on many occasions, for birthday and holiday gifts, for hospitality, for thoughtful gestures, and for many other kindnesses. It's rarely wrong to send a thank you note, so if you have the impulse, do it. Thank yous can certainly be sent by email, but bear in mind that an email thank you is appropriate only for a smallish gift or gesture. A handwritten card or letter sent through the mail is more meaningful and more appropriate for occasions like wedding or shower gifts, holiday gifts, or a visit to someone's home. Use your best judgment, but when in doubt, err on the side of doing too much, sending a card or letter, rather than doing too little. Introduction. The primary purpose of a thank you message, of course, is to express your appreciation for something someone gave you or did for you. Another important purpose is to strengthen your relationship with the reader. A gracious thank you can leave a lasting impression. Your relationship with the reader will influence the content and tone of your thank you message. For instance, a note to a relative will be very different from a note to someone you don't know well. Brainstorming your content is an important step. Once you've said thank you, you'll need to flesh out the message with your thoughts about what the gift or gesture meant to you and offer some specific details. Organize your message so that the thank you comes right at the beginning and is repeated again at the end. Write your draft in your own words and your own natural voice and express your true feelings. Read over your draft once or twice, putting yourself in the position of your reader. Is your thank you appropriate to the gift and to your relationship? Do you say enough? Is it sincere? Revise and make any necessary adjustments before you send it off. Do send your thank you message promptly. The late Princess Diana was said to be a fanatical writer of thank you notes. She wouldn't go to bed till she had written a thank you for the evening she had just enjoyed. If you get into the habit of sending thank you notes, you'll never find yourself in the embarrassing position of having to combine the thank you with an apology for its tardiness. Do remember to say thank you. Make the message explicit. Do be specific about what the gift or gesture meant to you. Describe how you'll use the gift, why it was especially needed, or how it made you feel. Personalizing your thank you this way creates a true connection with your reader. Do say something nice about the gift, even if you didn't like it. Maybe that hideous sweater really is a nice shade of blue, or you really do love kittens, even though they're painted on black velvet. Do mention the context of the gift. Did you enjoy a happy holiday together? Were you touched by their remembering your birthday? Do acknowledge the cost to the giver, if appropriate. Obviously, you don't want to talk about the price of a gift explicitly, but if someone has given you an especially generous gift, your thank you note should reflect that. If someone made you something by hand, or if you know the gift was difficult to find, or if you suspect your visit didn't come at the best time, acknowledge it. Don't send a vague, general thank you. It only takes a few minutes to make the thank you specific and personal, and it will mean a great deal more to the reader if you make that effort. Don't mention the price of the gift or the amount of a cash gift. Don't simply sign a commercial thank you card and pop it in the mail. Many readers appreciate the fact that you got a store-bought card for them, but it's not enough just to sign the inside. Make the effort to add a personal note. Don't write about yourself or other news. Keep the focus exclusively on the gift and the giver. You can write another message to get caught up on the latest developments in your lives. Don't overpraise the gift. While it's nice to offer some specifics about why you like it, don't go overboard. When you praise a gift to extremes, you tip off the reader that your gratitude perhaps isn't sincere. Don't use phony, overly formal language. If you're writing to someone you know, don't write, "It was a great pleasure to see you and Uncle Ted at the wedding." No one talks that way. Write in your own voice. "Steve and I were really happy to see you and Uncle Ted at the wedding." feels much more personal and will mean a lot more to the recipient. Don't get on automatic pilot when you're writing a stack of thank you notes. Beware of the impersonal assembly line approach and try to avoid writing essentially the same message to everyone. Make your notes as personal as possible. Not like this. Dear Jen, I can't believe it's been nearly a week since we saw you. We all had a fabulous time. The kids are still talking about it and about their wonderful Aunt Jen. I hope it wasn't too much of an imposition for you. We hope we can return the favor soon and have you and Russ to visit. Terry's tone is friendly and enthusiastic, but she forgets to say thank you. We hit the ground running when we got back. Kayla started back to school on Tuesday. Peter is going to a new nursery daycare this year, and he's busy adjusting to a new crowd of kids. Never a dull moment. Love, Terry. A thank you note is the wrong place for Terry to talk so much about her own news. The focus here should really be on Jen. Although Terry means well, her thank you feels a little slapdash, especially for a family visit at Jen's home. Like this. Dear Jen, thank you so very much for having us all to stay last week. We all had a wonderful time. The kids are still talking about it and their wonderful Aunt Jane. I know it must have been a hassle for you having us all underfoot, and I know you're not used to having a toddler around. Terry recognizes the cost of Jen's hospitality, not in dollars, but in the inconvenience to the hostess. We couldn't have made the trip without your hospitality, and we're so grateful. Terry lets Jen know what her hospitality meant to them. They could not have had the vacation without it. It was great to spend time with you and Russ, and we hope we can return the favor soon and have you to visit. Shall we make plans for a winter break? Terry makes plans to reciprocate, using the thank you as a way to deepen the relationship. Thank you again for a wonderful, memorable end-of-summer visit. Love, Terry. The closing repeats the thank you. Not like this. Dear Keisha, it was a pleasure to see you and David at the wedding. You can tell Deb is sitting and writing a lot of thank you notes for wedding presents, because this is a very impersonal opening. She signs her note with love, so she and Keisha have a relationship that warrants a warmer tone than this. Thank you so very much for the coffee maker. We think of you whenever we use it, which makes the experience even nicer. This is a nice sentiment, but it's cliched. Let's get together soon, once things have settled down. We'd love to see you. Love, Deb. It's not a bad thank you note, but it's nothing special. With a bit more effort, Deb could write something that Keisha will remember fondly. Like this. Dear Keisha, it was wonderful to see you and David at the wedding, even briefly. I've always heard you never get to spend time with your guests at your wedding, and now I know it's true. I wish we'd had the chance to sit and chat a bit. Deb's opening is warm and personal. Thank you so much for the coffee maker. Byron and I have decided that it's our most important appliance, far more important than the microwave or the fridge. We would never get out of the house without it. I don't know how I survived without one. This is kind of silly, but it's sweet and it reflects some real thought about the gift. Thank you again for everything. Once things have settled down, we would love to get together with you and David. I'll shoot you an email soon. Love, Deb. Overall, it's a warm note that conveys the importance of the friendship. More examples. For a gift. Dear Allison, thank you very much for the Patrick O'Brian book. I've been hearing great things about his book for years, and I started reading it as soon as it arrived. It's wonderful, really absorbing and interesting. Have you read him? Thank you again for a very thoughtful gift. Love, Sophie. For a gift card or gift certificate. Dear Roxanne and Joe, thank you for the gift card. It was exactly what we needed as we settled into the new house. We used it towards some blinds for the kitchen windows. Having the card meant we could get custom-sized blinds. Because the house is so old, the windows are an odd size and the standard sizes don't fit. Your gift is very much appreciated. We'd love to see you. As soon as we get the rest of the kitchen up and running, please come for dinner. Love, Katie and Josh. For cash. Dear Aunt Linda, I was overwhelmed when I opened your card and saw the check. Thank you so much for your very generous gift. I think you know this means I'll be able to study next semester without having to get a job. You've given me the chance to pursue my studies full-time, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I won't let you down, and I will never forget your kindness. Love, Kim. For help. Dear Stephen, thanks for taking care of the garden while we were away. I guess I overdid it with the tomato plants this year, and they definitely would have died if you hadn't been there to tend them. I know it was a hassle, and I appreciate it. Please feel free to help yourself all summer and make room in the freezer for some of Carol's homemade pasta sauce. Jim. For help. Dear Erica, thank you so much for driving up and helping me move into the new place. I was completely overwhelmed and feeling so disorganized, and you saved the day. If you hadn't been there, I'd probably still be running in circles and packing boxes. I couldn't have done it without you, and I'm so grateful. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the holidays. Love, Adele. Teaching your child to write thank you notes. Many of us remember being sat down after a birthday or a holiday and told to write thank you notes to those who had sent gifts. Getting in the habit of writing thank you notes early in life will serve your children well. Children can be taught how to write thank you notes as soon as they begin to write. Gift givers love receiving thank you notes from children. On the other hand, sending a gift and never receiving any acknowledgement can be hurtful, especially if it happens over and over again. Writing thank yous is not just good manners. The process of learning to write a thank you note also teaches children larger lessons about gift giving and thoughtfulness, how much care goes into the process of choosing a gift, and how it feels to receive a particularly appropriate gift or a gift that was chosen thoughtlessly. Children also learn to be diplomatic and courteous in saying thank you for a gift they didn't particularly like. Discuss with your children why it's important to send a thank you note. Provide them with age-appropriate cards or notepaper and be available to help them as they write. Some parents have a policy of not allowing the child to play with the toy, wear the clothes, or spend the money until a thank you has been written. Other kids write thank yous with less prodding. A thank you note should always be sent promptly. You can help your children understand what they should include by sharing with them the list below. Encourage them to add creative details or drawings to make the note more personal and fun to write. Say thank you. Mention the gift by name. Say that you like the gift. Talk about how you're going to use it, how much you'll enjoy it, or how it will help you. Examples. Dear Aunt Heather, thank you for the dress. Blue is my favorite color. It is very pretty. I'm going to wear it to school. Thank you. XOXO. Carly. Dear Mr. Brown, thank you for letting us pick the avocados in your yard. They look really good. Mom is going to teach us how to make guacamole with them. Thank you again, David and Jacob. Dear Grandpa and Grandma, thank you very much for the check. It was really nice of you. Mom said I can spend some of it, so I'm going to get a new game. I'm going to put the rest of it in the bank and save it for college. I hope you are both doing well. Love, Scott. Dear Uncle Dave, thank you for sending the old pictures. It's great to see them. My favorites are the ones with you and Dad in the costumes. Where were those taken? I'd like to call you and talk about them sometime. I really appreciate having this piece of family history. Love, June. Apology. Writing a sincere note of apology can go a long way toward repairing the damage done by a careless or thoughtless action. It's important to choose the right medium for your apology. Some apologies are best made face-to-face. Others require a written message. In an informal situation where the stakes are not high, it can be fine to send an apology by email. A more serious breach requires a handwritten card or note. If you have any doubt at all, you're always wise to err on the side of caution and put your apology on paper. Let your reader know that your relationship is important to you by investing in an apology card or writing your message on good quality stationery. Visit www.crane.com for some ideas about writing paper. Introduction. The purpose of an apology is to let your reader know that you are aware you made a mistake and that you're sorry for the pain or distress you caused. You may also want to let the reader know what you're doing to fix the situation or prevent it happening again. Understanding your reader and her likely attitude is key to writing a good apology. What is your history with the reader? How is she likely to react to your message? How much have you hurt her? Be sure you brainstorm from her point of view. You may not enjoy revisiting the event, but putting yourself in your reader's shoes will help you craft a better message. What would you want to hear if you were in her position? What might make things better? It's easy simply to write, "Sorry." It means more to say something more personal and specific. It's a good idea to organize your apology so that the actual apology, the "I'm sorry," comes first. Use the model outline to follow to help structure your message. Unless your apology is very simple and straightforward, you should plan to go through a couple of drafts before you send it. Getting the tone right can be a little tricky. The tone will depend on your relationship with your reader and the seriousness of the transgression. Once you have a draft, leave it alone for a little while. Then go back and consider your draft from your reader's point of view and revise from there. If it is possible to cut a word out, always cut it out. George Orwell, novelist and essayist. Model outline. A note of apology should get to the point right away and make the message very clear. Opening. Begin your message with an apology for the transgression. Middle. If relevant, explain why you behaved as you did. Don't make excuses, but let the reader know you were not motivated by malice or lack of concern for her. Conclusion. Restate your apology. If relevant, let the reader know what you're doing to fix the problem. Close by letting the reader know that the relationship is important to you. Do. Do right as soon as possible. Delaying your apology can make a bad situation worse. Do apologize. Be explicit in saying that you are sorry. If the reader feels you're fudging, your apology could backfire. Do keep it brief. An apology that goes on too long can make the reader uncomfortable. Do be sincere. Do explain. Let the reader know the cause of the breach. If you hurt him, he's entitled to an explanation. Do, if there is something you can do to rectify the situation, focus on doing it. You can't change the past, but you can demonstrate your commitment to the relationship by changing your behavior in the future. Do keep the focus on the reader's feelings, not on your feelings of regret. Do, if appropriate, assure the reader that it won't happen again. Don't make excuses. There's a difference between offering an explanation and making excuses for bad behavior. If you made a mistake, admit it. You don't have to beat yourself up, but be sure you don't say anything to suggest that your behavior was really no big deal. Don't blame the reader. An apology that says, "I'm sorry, but you should have," is not going to be received well. Sometimes people are so uncomfortable with admitting they behaved badly that they unconsciously blame the reader. This attitude can sneak in when you're not aware of it, so be alert to the risk. Don't shift the blame to others. If others genuinely played a role, you may include that information in your explanation, but don't use it to evade taking responsibility for your own actions. Don't make a half-hearted apology. If you've decided to apologize, go for it. Don't grovel. You may feel really terrible about what happened, but you and your reader will both be more comfortable if you maintain your dignity. Not like this. Dear Denise, the remark I made about your weight at Karen's on Saturday was careless and hurtful, and it was terrible of me. Ouch. By mentioning the content of the remark, Sarah inadvertently hurts Denise again. It's better to allude to an insult rather than repeat it. Also, Sarah hasn't actually apologized. It would be better for her to come out and say, "I'm sorry," explicitly. I appreciate your friendship so much. You are always so unfailingly sweet and kind, and you didn't deserve that. I want you to know that I don't feel that way about you at all. Sarah is laying on the compliments a little thick, and she risks sounding insincere. I've been thinking a lot about why I said what I said. I feel so awful about it, and I hate to think of myself as the kind of person who would say something like that to a friend. Sarah's writing a bit too much about her feelings, taking the focus off Denise's. Frankly, I think we all get too involved in being witty with this group, and I really need to rein it in. By pointing to the group's behavior, Sarah subtly avoids taking full responsibility for what she said. Again, I'm really sorry. I feel terrible to think I've hurt you, and I hope you will forgive me. Love, Sarah. The focus here is still really on Sarah, and she's beginning to grovel. Like this. Dear Denise, I want to apologize for that remark I made to you at Karen's on Saturday. Sarah apologizes right up front, and she's diplomatic about the offensive remark. It was careless and unkind, and I'm very sorry I hurt you. You didn't deserve that, and I want you to know that I value our friendship very much. I've been thinking a lot about why I said what I said. Frankly, I think I get too involved in being witty with this group at all costs. Sarah mentions the group dynamic, but takes full responsibility for her own actions. The fact that I hurt someone I care about is a wake-up call for me to change my behavior. Sarah has taken the incident seriously, and she lets Denise know that her behavior will be better in the future. I have a lot to learn from you about being kind. This is a nice way of paying a compliment to Denise and reaffirming the friendship. Again, I'm really sorry. I'd love to take you to tea, just the two of us, and reconnect. I'll give you a call over the weekend. Love, Sarah. Sarah offers an olive branch and indicates that the relationship is important to her. Not like this. Dear Aunt Jill, Mom let me know how upset you were about my missing your party, and I want you to know how sorry I am. Even if his mom put him up to it, Kyle should just go ahead and apologize directly without mentioning his mother's intervention. I will never forgive myself for blowing it so badly and making you unhappy. You can tell Kyle is sincerely sorry, but he's getting a bit hyperbolic here. It's no excuse, but I've been putting in really long days at school. I'm taking 5 classes, including 2 labs, and I'm totally sleep-deprived all the time. Probably trying to work during the vacation wasn't a good idea. I had turned off my phone, and I was basically just out of it. I think students today are under more pressure than ever before, and the demands on us have grown so much. But obviously, I just need to learn to cope. Kyle actually seems undecided about whether he's making an excuse or not. He claims not to be, but the balance of the paragraph goes beyond an explanation into a kind of justification, hinting that older people don't really understand the stress college students are under. He needs to dial this back and take responsibility in a more straightforward way. I hope I can make this up to you at Christmas time. Love, Kyle. A nice idea. It would be even nicer for Kyle to suggest how. Like this. Dear Aunt Jill, I apologize for missing your party. Kyle doesn't mention his mom and makes the apology under his own initiative. I know how much work you put into it, and it was awful of me to miss it. Kyle recognizes the reason Aunt Jill might have been upset. I need to learn to manage my time better. I have a heavy course load at school, plus work, and I've been kind of overwhelmed. I was really looking forward to seeing you and Uncle Kevin, and I just blew it. It won't happen again. Kyle offers a reasonable explanation for his behavior, not an excuse, and promises it won't happen again. I'll be home again at Christmas time. Could I take you to Blum's, like we used to do? I would love to see you. Love, Kyle. Kyle promises a nice get-together to make up for his absence at the party. Apologizing for someone else. Typically, you should not apologize for someone else if that person is able to do it himself. However, in situations where you bear responsibility for someone else's actions, such as for a child or for a group, you should take the initiative to apologize if that person's actions have caused harm or trouble. Make it clear who you are. For instance, the parent or the person who rented the space. Let the reader know that you have communicated with the responsible party and they do indeed regret their actions. Don't make excuses or try to minimize what they did. If you're apologizing, apologize. Dear Mario, I want to apologize for the damage my scout troop did to your restaurant last Wednesday. They were out of line, and I didn't do my job in getting them under control. As you and I have discussed, we will pay for the repairs to the planters that were damaged. I have talked to the girls about their behavior. They understand it was inappropriate, and they feel very sorry for the damage they caused. We all extend our sincere apologies to you and your staff. Sincerely, Jennifer Parks. Holiday Family Newsletter. With families increasingly busy and the population more mobile than it's ever been, staying in touch with friends and family is getting harder. Many families take advantage of the holiday card tradition to include a newsletter reporting all the latest developments in the lives of the family members, usually with a group photo. Sometimes this annual newsletter is the only way we know what's going on in the lives of our old friends who may now live far away from us. Traditionally, people have included paper newsletters folded into their holiday cards. As communication becomes more electronically based, more and more families are opting to send an e-newsletter with their e-greeting at the holidays. The form you choose depends entirely on your own preferences. Tip: be selective about who you send your family newsletter to. Relatives and friends are likely to be interested in your news. People like business associates, your children's teachers, and the mail carrier are probably not all that interested in the family news and will be happier and more comfortable with a simple holiday greeting card. Introduction. The purpose of a holiday family newsletter is to send greetings and bring people up to date on the activities of your family. Your readers are friends and family who are eager to hear what's going on with you and your family. Bear them in mind as you write. As you brainstorm your newsletter, try to focus on the most important events of the year for each family member. You may want to ask your children what they want included. Help them to understand that there's not space for them to say absolutely everything. The model outline can help you organize all this material. In keeping with the holiday spirit, the tone of your draft should be friendly and warm. Reading your newsletter should be like a little visit with your family, and it should bring a smile to the face of the reader. Writing an engaging newsletter that your friends will enjoy reading requires a little art and attention. There are two main pitfalls in creating a holiday family newsletter: being boring and being boastful. Our lives are pretty routine most of the time, and a faithful recounting of the previous year might be a little tiresome for friends to read. On the other hand, focusing on your family's achievements can create the impression that you're bragging about them. There are some people who feel there's a fine line between sharing news and bragging. No matter how fine that line, I encourage you to locate it and respect it. If you start working on your newsletter early and allow time to write and revise a few drafts, you'll have more fun with it and prevent it from becoming another chore at a busy time of year. Revising and rewriting will also help you craft a family story that your friends and family will really enjoy reading. Model outline. Your family newsletter should be kept to 1 page in length. Your first paragraph should be devoted to greetings and good wishes to your readers. It's typical to devote 1 short paragraph to each family member. A paragraph about a shared family activity, like a vacation, can follow. Your closing paragraph should repeat your warm holiday wishes to the reader. Do open with a warm greeting that focuses on the reader rather than jumping right into reporting about your family. Be careful about your tone. Your newsletter is not an occasion to brag about your family's achievements. It's really about staying in touch and keeping friends up to date. By all means, you should let your readers know about your family's accomplishments, but it's even more fun to focus on what family members have enjoyed over the previous year, your kids' new interests, activities that the family enjoyed together, or settling into a new home. Give equal billing to each family member. The newsletter can be a family writing activity. You might let each child draft his or her own section. Some families even rotate authorship from year to year and allow different family members to be the author of record. Just make sure you edit it before it goes out. Get approval from all family members before you send out your newsletter to ensure that no one will be embarrassed or surprised by the content you're sharing. Keep it brief. Everyone is busy during the holidays, so be considerate about your readers' time. Use short paragraphs. A newsletter with several short paragraphs is far more inviting than large blocks of text. Don't send more than 1 page. Of course, you could probably write endlessly about your kids, but readers are not likely to read any more than a single page. If you send a very long newsletter, people are likely to put it aside to read later. Don't present a list of achievements. Your family newsletter is not a competition or a job application. Including information like AP test scores or rattling off a long list of colleges where junior was accepted can be obnoxious. Don't use a lot of superlatives. Focus less on how great, talented, and brilliant your kids are, and more on how much they enjoyed their various activities. Tip: most holiday family newsletters focus on good news. However, if something bad has happened in your family, it can be appropriate to include that information in your newsletter too. Perhaps a child is struggling with a chronic illness. Your letter can report the news factually and quickly touch on her courage and the hope you feel for her recovery. Perhaps a grandparent has passed away. Note the passing and the family's sadness, and emphasize the many happy memories you all share. People who truly care about you want to hear about what's important to your family, not just the good news. Not like this. It's hard to believe that another year has passed, but it's been a blessed and wonderful one for the Taylor family. In June, we moved from Santa Ana to our new home in Houston, and we're enjoying it so much. The house is big enough that at last everyone has their own bedroom, and we even have a few rooms to spare. It's been a challenge keeping up with such a big place, and we're still working out a chore schedule so that not everything falls on Mom. The entire first paragraph is devoted to the Taylor family. How about a greeting to the reader? The focus on the size of the house sounds a bit boastful. Tom is enjoying his new job as Director of IT Development for SciX. Anne is, as usual, busy keeping up with the kids. Mom and Dad get short shrift in this newsletter. This often happens, but remember that your old friends are at least as interested in you as they are in your kids. Mike will be graduating high school next May, if you can believe it. He's decided to attend University of the Northwest in the fall, with a major in communications and a minor in industrial relations. The whole family is planning to take a road trip to Oregon to get him settled in, then back in time to get the rest of the kids in school. This is too much information about Mike's plan of study. It won't interest readers. Janie is enjoying her junior year in high school, where she's head of the debating team, an officer on student council, homecoming coordinator, and somehow maintaining her 4.0 average on top of all that. Jeannie is an impressive kid, but this paragraph brags too much about her accomplishments. Pat will start high school next year. He's continuing in his father's footsteps with his interest in technology and has developed an interest in astronomy and physics. Poor little Pat doesn't get much copy, and it's pretty vague. Danny is 11 and enjoying 5th grade. His passion for model cars seems to have faded, and now it's the guitar. He's been taking lessons weekly. His teacher says he has real talent. If only he would practice. Danny's the baby, of course, but now he's nearly as tall as Pat. It looks like he's got his father's height after all. This paragraph creates the impression that Danny is the favorite and manages to be both boastful and boring. The highlight of our year, in addition to the move, was a trip to Disney World in August. We spent 9 days exploring every corner of the place and buying nearly every DVD, T-shirt, and souvenir on offer. We have so much Disney stuff in the house now, we figure we never have to go back. The message here seems to be that the Taylors have plenty of disposable income. We miss you all, and we wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas and the happiest of New Years. Love, Tom, Ann, Mike, Jeannie, Pat, and Danny. Like this. It's hard to believe that another year has passed. We hope it's been as wonderful for you as it has been for us. The Taylor family wishes you and yours the very happiest holiday season. The revised opening, which first extends holiday greetings, focuses more on the reader. Our big news this year was our move from California to Houston, Texas. Please note our return address if you don't already have it. It's been a big adjustment for everyone, but we're crazy about the new house, more space, and we love our new lives here. This is a friendly and non-boastful way to let readers know what the family loves about the house. Tom is enjoying his new job as Director of IT Development for SciX. Anne is, as usual, keeping busy with the kids, and has also begun a new volunteer role with Church of the Nazarene here in Houston. We've taken up horseback riding, which gets us some exercise and some quality time together. Tom and Anne's friends will appreciate this additional information about them. Mike will be graduating high school next May. He's decided to attend University of the Northwest in the fall, and the whole family is looking forward to a road trip to Oregon to get him settled in. Jeannie is enjoying her junior year in high school, where she is unbelievably busy and especially enjoying her activities with the debate team. Pat will start high school next year. He remains very interested in science and technology and will be volunteering at a local observatory this year. Danny, 11 and now in 5th grade, has taken up the guitar, which he's enjoying very much. He's also hard at work on becoming the tallest kid in the family. The paragraphs about the kids are shorter, less laden with detail, and lighter in tone. Everyone gets more or less equal attention, and we feel we know a little more about the kids as people rather than as feathers in the Taylor family cap. The highlight of our year, in addition to the move, was a trip to Disney World in August. We exhausted ourselves over the course of 9 days, but everyone had a wonderful time and returned ready to face their new schools in good humor. This account of the trip is more modest and more interesting, and we understand why a family vacation was good for them all. We miss you all, and we wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas and the happiest of New Years. Love, Tom, Ann, Mike, Jeannie, Pat, and Danny. The overall tone of this version is less frantically competitive and more low-key and friendly. Removing some of the unnecessary detail has also shortened the letter, which makes it more pleasant to read. Love letter. A love letter is one of the most personal messages you'll ever write, and you are the undisputed authority on what you want to say in this message. No matter how strong your feelings, it can be hard to get started. You might feel embarrassed, and it can be hard to find a voice that seems real to you. With a little guidance, though, you can write a love letter that comes from your heart. You can send a love letter via email, but how romantic is that, really? Love letters should be written by hand. It's nice to imagine that your loved one will keep your letter tucked away in a safe place. Invest in some nice stationery. Try Crane Fine Papers at www.crane.com and make your love letter worth treasuring. To write a good love letter, you need to begin without knowing what you mean to say and finish without knowing what you have written. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, philosopher. Introduction. The purpose of a love letter is simply to share your feelings. Don't spoil the spontaneity, but do think about your reader's likely response as you write. How well do you know him? Are you declaring your love for the first time, or are you both so in love you're walking on air? Part of the fun of writing a love letter is brainstorming the content. The section to follow, What to Say in a Love Letter, offers some suggestions. Write your draft freely and don't censor yourself as you write. Leave the draft alone for a day or so and then read it over. Don't obsess. And don't chicken out. But do allow yourself to revise a bit. Proofread to catch errors like misspellings and missed words, which might distract your beloved from your message. What to say in a love letter. It's kind of funny. You have all these feelings, but you don't know what to say. Writing a love letter can feel embarrassing. It can be hard to get started, but that's no reason not to do it. Here are some ideas about what you might write about. A memory you share that's special to you. Something she said that was thoughtful or revealed her character. The moment you first realized you loved him. How your life has changed since you first met or first got together as a couple. How you have changed as a result of loving her. Some gesture he makes that endears him to you. What you've learned as a result of loving her. Some physical characteristic you particularly love about him. Something he does that lets you know he cares about you. What about her makes you grateful? How much you miss him when he's away. So you see, it doesn't have to be of an epic proportion to mean the world to the two of you. Nothing is too trivial to write about in a love letter, as long as you mean it sincerely. Do take your time. Don't rush through this. Give yourself time to think and write. Do share your real feelings. Do use your own words. Don't feel you need to use poetic or flowery language. Your love would much rather hear your own voice in the letter than hear you trying to be someone you're not. Do use quotations sparingly. If you want to quote a favorite writer, that's fine, but remember your own words will mean more to your beloved than any famous quotation borrowed from another. Do offer some specific details, times you think of her, an incident that reminded you of him, something she did that you will always remember, something about him that you particularly admire. Don't feel that you need to use poetic or elevated language. Not everyone is good at writing poetry. Your loved one will value a message written from the heart in your true voice more than an imitation of a greeting card. Don't feel that you have to write about flowers, the moon, or any other cliched image. Don't worry that you're not a good writer. You're as good as you need to be. Don't say things you don't mean. It's easy to go over the top in pursuit of the proper romantic tone and sentiments. Don't be afraid to say silly things. If you love the way she opens the car door or the way he chops vegetables, say so. Don't be creepy. If you're writing to someone who doesn't have any idea how you feel, don't go overboard describing your feelings and your desires. Don't forget to say, I love you. It may be implied, but it's nice to hear. Like this. Dear Allison, I was walking into the office the other day and I saw a young woman. I was sure it was you. Of course I knew it wasn't, but my heart just leaped when I saw her. She had long dark hair and she was about your height. She turned around and she wasn't you, of course. I was incredibly disappointed. And that's when I knew that I loved you. Love, Steve. Bunny. It took me so long to find you. Sometimes I thought it would never happen. I thought I had missed the boat. They say it always happens when you're not looking. Honestly, I had really given up. I can't believe how much you've changed my life. You've changed everything about how I see the world and everything in it. I love you so much. Saying you were worth the wait is putting it mildly. You're my miracle. Love, David. Dear John, I was watching you leave for work yesterday while Kyle was getting ready for school. I watched you walk out to the car, open the door, and toss your briefcase in the back, and suddenly it came to me how much I love you. I've known that for years, of course, but yesterday morning I knew it more profoundly than I've ever known it before. You are my love and my soulmate, and I was put on earth to love you. Love, June.